Most people think grocery overspending happens because they buy too much, but a lot of the damage comes from something quieter. It comes from buying the wrong version of the same food, the chopped version, the bottled version, the individually wrapped version, the one with the health halo, the one designed to feel easier, cleaner, smarter, or more premium. And that is exactly where grocery stores make some of their easiest money. The average household throws away a shocking amount every year on food they did not need, food they could have bought cheaper, or food engineered to look like a smart decision. At the same time, prices keep climbing, budgets feel tighter, and a simple grocery run now feels like a financial stress test. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Grocery stores are not neutral. They are not designed to help you spend less. They are built to maximize margin, trigger impulse decisions, and make convenience feel worth almost any price. Sometimes that markup is 40%. Sometimes it is 200%. In a few cases, it climbs into the thousands. In this video, we are going through the grocery items that quietly drain more money than most people realize, and more importantly, how to beat the trap without making life harder. Because once you see the pricing logic behind these products, you stop shopping like a Target and start shopping like someone who keeps their money on purpose. And the first trap starts in the one section people usually trust the most. Pre-cut fruits and vegetables look like one of those harmless upgrades. You're tired, in a rush, and a container of sliced watermelon or chopped peppers seems like a reasonable shortcut. But look a little closer at the numbers. A small tub of pre-cut watermelon can easily sell for $6.99, while a whole watermelon sitting right beside it goes for $3.99. Same fruit, same store, almost double the price because someone used a knife. That pattern shows up all over the produce section. Chopped onions, sliced apples, cubed melon, trimmed green beans. On average, shoppers often pay around 40% more for pre-cut produce, and in some stores, the premium is much higher. The usual explanation is labor. But labor is not what you are really paying for. You are paying a convenience tax built on the assumption that you are too busy to stop and compare. There is another problem. Once produce is cut, the clock speeds up. Moisture escapes faster. Texture declines faster. Freshness drops faster. In many cases, it spoils sooner than the whole version, which means you are not just paying more up front. You are also increasing the odds that part of it ends up in the trash. The smarter move is simple. Buy whole produce and spend 15 or 20 minutes once a week prepping it yourself. Or skip the fresh pre-cut section entirely and use frozen fruit and vegetables for convenience. Frozen produce is usually picked at peak ripeness, flash frozen quickly, already portion-friendly, and often far cheaper than the fresh pre-cut version. So right away, the pattern is clear. The store is not charging more because the food is better. It is charging more because your exhaustion has value. And if you think that markup is bad, the next one is even harder to justify. Bottled water might be one of the most profitable products in the entire store. A single bottle can cost $2 or more, even though the water inside may have cost only a few cents to source, package, and ship. In some cases, that means markups approaching 4,000%. And many people pay it without thinking because the bottle signals purity, safety, and convenience. But that image has started to crack. Recent research from Columbia and Rutgers drew attention to the scale of plastic contamination in bottled water, with findings suggesting extremely high levels of microscopic plastic particles, including nanoplastics small enough to avoid earlier detection. That matters because plastics are now being studied in places no one wants them found, including human lungs, breast milk, and placental tissue. And here is the part that flips the whole sales pitch upside down. In many cases, bottled water is not cleaner than tap water. Sometimes it may contain more plastic contamination, not less. So the premium is not buying peace of mind. It may be buying better branding. If you regularly toss a few bottles into the cart every week, the annual cost adds up fast. A case here, a convenience bottle there, a few extras for errands or school pickups, and suddenly you are spending hundreds a year on something you can get at home for pennies. A decent filter and a reusable stainless steel bottle solve most of this problem immediately. One small upfront purchase can replace a long trail of overpriced plastic and recurring waste. And once you start noticing how often the store sells image instead of value, the bakery section starts to look very different too. That warm bakery smell feels comforting on purpose. When you walk past cookies, muffins, croissants, or fresh bread, you are not just seeing food. You are moving through a carefully designed emotional trigger. Some large retailers use scent marketing to push bakery aromas farther into the store because smell changes behavior. It can make shoppers linger longer, crave more, and buy impulsively. And it works. Studies on scent marketing have shown that bakery-style aromas can lift sales dramatically. That is not random. It is an engineered spending cue. Then come the margins. Fresh bakery items can carry profit margins around 60% or more. A $4 muffin does not cost anywhere near $4 to make. What you are often paying for is not flour, sugar, or butter. You are paying for placement, atmosphere, and impulse. That does not mean you can never buy a bakery item. It means you should stop treating those prices like they are normal. Check the markdown rack or day-old section first. Many stores cut bakery prices by 30% to 50% once the peak selling window passes, and the quality is often still perfectly fine for toast, dessert, or lunchboxes. Another good swap is baking mixes. A $2 or $3 brownie or muffin mix can produce roughly the same number of servings as a bakery tray, priced at 3 or 4 times more. This is what grocery stores understand very well. If they can make the purchase feel emotional, they can make the price feel invisible. But nowhere is that invisible pricing more absurd than in the spice aisle. Name brand spices look small, harmless, and cheap enough to ignore. That is exactly why they are such an easy profit center. A tiny bottle of oregano for $3.49 does not feel like a big financial decision. But compare it with what the same spice costs at an Indian, Middle Eastern, Asian, or bulk grocery store, and the difference can be stunning. In some cases, a similar amount costs well under $1, sometimes dramatically less. The markup on branded spices is often 100% or more, and the problem is not just price, it is freshness. Those little bottles can sit on mainstream grocery shelves for months, sometimes longer. Spices lose potency over time, especially when ground. So by the time you buy them, the flavor may already be fading. You end up paying a premium for seasoning that is weaker than it should be. Meanwhile, specialty and ethnic markets often move spice inventory faster. That means fresher product, stronger flavor, and lower prices because those stores are not relying on tiny premium bottles and familiar labels to justify the margin. A practical fix is to buy whole spices when possible, or buy larger quantities from stores with faster turnover and keep them in airtight containers. For the price of 2 or 3 tiny supermarket jars, you can often stock your kitchen much more effectively. And that leads straight into one of the most misunderstood grocery decisions people make, because this one mixes real health concerns with a lot of expensive confusion. Organic food is not a scam, but buying organic everything can absolutely become one. This is where many shoppers get trapped by good intentions. They want cleaner food, fewer pesticides, and better choices for their family, so they assume the safest approach is to buy organic across the board. Grocery stores love that logic because organic products often carry premiums around 20% or more. The smarter approach is more selective. Some produce items do tend to show higher pesticide residue concerns than others, which is why lists like the Dirty Dozen get so much attention. Strawberries, spinach, and kale are often part of that conversation. On the other hand, lower residue items like avocados, sweet corn, and pineapple are usually much less concerning in conventional form. That means paying extra for organic avocados may deliver very little additional value, while paying extra for organic strawberries may make more sense. This matters because the organic premium compounds over time. Add $1 here, $2 there, every week, every cart, every month, and suddenly your effort to shop healthier turns into a major budget leak. So instead of buying organic by default, buy it strategically. Prioritize the items that matter most. Save on the ones that usually do not. That one shift can cut a grocery bill substantially without forcing you to give up the health goal that made you buy organic in the first place. And once labels start guiding your decisions more than numbers do, the next trap becomes almost impossible to miss. Single-serve snacks are one of the clearest examples of paying more for less. A box of mini cracker bags, tiny cookie sleeves, or lunchbox-sized pretzels looks organized, kid-friendly, and practical. But the per-ounce price is often brutal. A small pack version of the same snack can cost 2, 3, even 5 times more than buying the larger bag. In some cases, the markup is even worse. A family-size bag might give you 30 ounces for around $4.50, while a multi-pack of mini bags offers a fraction of that weight for nearly double the price. Same crackers, same factory, same ingredients, different packaging, very different math. This is not really about food. It is about outsourcing the simplest part of the process, portioning. And over a year, that convenience becomes expensive. Families that rely heavily on individually packed snacks can easily lose hundreds of dollars, sometimes more than $800 a year, compared with buying bulk versions and dividing them at home. By now, you are probably noticing a pattern. The biggest grocery markups often show up when the store takes a basic product and does one tiny extra step for you. Cut it, wrap it, label it, flavor it. Suddenly, the price jumps. How many of these are in your kitchen right now? That question matters because once you start spotting the pattern, you stop feeling like a shopper who is always behind. You start acting like someone who sees the trap before it closes. A few reusable containers solve most of the snack problem immediately. Buy the larger bag, portion it once, and move on. Same convenience by the next morning. Much lower cost by the end of the month. And if snack companies are making fortunes from portioning food, the meat department is making just as much by seasoning it. Pre-marinated meat is one of the easiest ways to overpay in the grocery store while convincing yourself you save time. A plain pack of chicken breasts might cost $4.99 per pound. The version marinated in teriyaki, garlic herb, or honey barbecue can jump to $7.99. That is a 60% increase for a sauce blend that may have cost the store less than 50 cents. On paper, it feels minor. In reality, it is one of the most expensive forms of laziness the grocery store sells. And there is more going on than price. Many pre-marinated meats are loaded with sodium. It is not unusual to see 700 or 800 milligrams per serving, sometimes more. Salt boosts flavor, helps preserve the product, and makes average quality meat taste stronger than it otherwise would. From a retail standpoint, that is efficient. From a household budget and health standpoint, it is a bad deal. There is also a reason these products get heavy seasoning and bright color. Strong marinades can make older inventory easier to move. They can mask small changes in smell, texture, or appearance that would be more noticeable on plain meat. The alternative is almost laughably simple. Olive oil, garlic, lemon, soy sauce, herbs, maybe a little honey. Mix it in a bowl, done in 3 minutes. Now you control the flavor, the salt, and the cost. People often pay several dollars extra just to avoid a task that takes less time than waiting for the oven to preheat. And the next category proves that grocery stores are just as good at selling fantasy as they are at selling convenience. Superfoods in tiny packages are often just ordinary nutrition dressed up like luxury. A small bag of goji berries for $12. A pouch of chia blend with a sleek design. A jar of maca powder with words like ancient, powerful, or energizing. The packaging suggests that you are not just buying food. You are buying an upgrade. But the term superfood is not a tightly regulated scientific category. It is a marketing tool, and an effective one. It gives companies permission to charge premium prices for products that often have cheaper nutritional cousins sitting somewhere else in the store. An 8-ounce bag of goji berries can cost more than $25 per pound. Blueberries may cost $4 per pound. Frozen mixed berries can be even cheaper. All of them offer real nutritional value. All of them fit into a normal budget far better than tiny boutique pouches. That does not mean foods like goji berries are useless. It means the pricing often reflects branding more than benefit. In their country of origin, some of these foods are just normal staples. Once repackaged and exported into the health food economy, they become premium identity products. The strongest nutritional foundation is still boring by comparison. Berries, leafy greens, beans, nuts, seeds, whole grains, carrots, sweet potatoes. Real food. Familiar food. Food that does not need a luxury backstory to justify the shelf price. And speaking of products sold as performance tools, few categories drain money faster or more repeatedly than caffeinated drinks. Energy drinks and fancy coffee can quietly become a four-figure annual habit. One $3.50 energy drink and one $5 specialty coffee 3 times a week adds up to more than $300 a year. Make it a daily habit and the number climbs much higher. That is why these purchases matter so much. They feel small in the moment. They are not small over time. Energy drinks are especially deceptive because they are often marketed with words like focus, performance, vitamins, or natural energy, while still delivering huge sugar loads. Some contain the equivalent of around 20 teaspoons of sugar in a single can. That is far beyond what many people should be drinking in one shot. Then there is coffee shop pricing. A home container of ground coffee might cost $10 and make around 100 cups. That is roughly 10 cents a cup. Compare that with $4 or $5 for a store-bought cold brew, and the markup becomes almost absurd. The practical alternative is not complicated. Make cold brew at home once a week. Use a basic coffee maker, brew it stronger, and pour it over ice. If you want caffeine with less sugar, tea works. If you want better energy, sleep and hydration still beat expensive cans with aggressive branding. A lot of people think of these drinks as a reward. But when a reward becomes automatic, it stops being a treat and starts acting like a subscription. The dairy aisle has a version of the exact same trick. Individual yogurt cups look efficient, healthy, and portion-controlled. They are also one of the easiest ways to overpay for a very basic food. A 6-pack of Greek yogurt cups for $8.99 can make perfect sense until you compare it with a large tub of the same yogurt. Per pound, the single-serve version can cost 2 to 5 times more. If you eat yogurt regularly, that gap matters. A person eating 1 cup a day can easily spend a few $100s more per year by buying individual cups instead of larger containers. And then there is the packaging. Multiple little cups create far more waste than one large tub. So you are paying extra money for more plastic and less product efficiency. The usual defense is portion control, but that problem has a very cheap solution. Reusable glass jars or small containers cost almost nothing compared with the long-term premium of pre-portioned yogurt. Scoop once, stack them in the fridge, and you have the same grab-and-go convenience at a much lower price. This is where grocery stores win so often. They turn basic planning into a premium service. And the final category may be the clearest example of that mindset, because this one sells identity even more than food. Specialty diet foods are often ordinary products wearing expensive labels. Keto bars, paleo crackers, Whole30 approved sauces, grain-free chips, high-protein cookies. The packaging makes it feel as if the label itself has nutritional power. But very often, these products are just standard foods reformulated slightly, or sometimes not meaningfully changed at all, then priced at 2 or 3 times the ordinary version. A jar of keto peanut butter for $11 sounds impressive until you read the ingredients and find peanuts and salt. A normal jar with the same ingredients may cost $3.50. That difference is not about nutrition, it is about branding. The same pattern shows up across diet-specific products. A fancy sauce, a snack bar, a bag of crackers, all promising compliance with some eating framework. And that framing is what people end up paying for. But diets like keto, paleo, or Whole30 do not require specialty products. They require understanding the rules and choosing regular foods that already fit them. Eggs, meat, vegetables, nuts, fruit, plain yogurt, cheese, basic ingredients. The kinds of foods that existed long before marketing departments discovered lifestyle labels. People who stop buying the branded version of a diet often find that they get the same results for a fraction of the cost. The only difference is that one method depends on packaging and the other depends on reading ingredient labels. And that is really what this whole grocery problem comes down to. The biggest money drains in the store are usually not the foods themselves. They are the layers added around them. Convenience, branding, portioning, scent, health halos, trend labels. Tiny upgrades that feel helpful in the moment and expensive by the end of the year. Once you see that pattern, shopping changes. You stop asking, what should I buy? You start asking, what am I actually paying for? Am I paying for food or for someone else to cut it, bottle it, divide it, flavor it, or make it look healthier than it really is? That one question can save a household hundreds, sometimes thousands, over the course of a year without making meals worse. In many cases, the cheaper option is actually fresher, less processed, lower in sodium, lower in sugar, and less wasteful. That is the part most people never hear. Spending less at the grocery store does not always mean sacrificing quality. Often, it means removing the expensive middle layer between you and the food. So the next time you walk into a store, pay attention to where the premium appears. It usually shows up wherever the effort disappears. That is not an accident. That is the business model. And once you understand it, you are much harder to manipulate. If this helped you look at grocery spending a little differently, consider subscribing. And if you want, go through your last grocery receipt and see how many of these convenience markups showed up there. You may find more than you expected.